what are the different case types? And this we're going to go through the different case types. Case types. There are two basic case types, documentary cases on one hand, and then on the other hand you have a formal case, okay, the defective consent cases. Let's go through quickly the documentary cases. Documentary cases consist of, first, canonical form. Canonical form is simply this. Mother Church insists on a few house rules for her children, so that when children of the Catholic Church, those who have been baptized or made a profession of Catholic faith in the Catholic Church, when they go to get married, they have to get married in a certain way following a certain form. And that form is that they have to stand before a duly appointed priest, bishop, priest, or deacon, or appointed layperson, that there must be 2 witnesses. Okay? Now, if you fail to follow canonical form as a Catholic, we would automatically call that marriage invalid. Okay? A lack of canonical form. A lack of canonical form. What you need to prove a lack of canonical form is your status as a Catholic, that you were baptized or received into full communion, and that when you got married, you did not follow the canonical form. You didn't get married in the church. You didn't get a dispensation from that obligation, and that your marriage took place outside of canonical form and without any kind of dispensation. If we can prove that, then we have a declaration of nullity based on canonical form. All right, that's the simplest of case types, really. Let's skip down to the prior bond. Prior bond is a case type that is proved through documents also. I'll explain prior bond through, I guess, a graph. If Johnny marries Susie, and it's done according to whatever form they're obliged to, even if it's just civil form, and we presume this marriage to be valid, then that means that John cannot marry Annie, right? Because he has a prior bond. So we can declare this marriage null because of a prior bond. Okay? Does that make sense? So John is not able to marry Anne because he's still married to Susie. You can only be married once at a time. Okay? Till death do us part. So the way that this affects us is that oftentimes the case happens that the person that you're wanting to marry, let's say Steve over here, is wanting to get married to Anne. You say, well, Anne got married to John, and now I'm going to have to go through this declaration of nullity process. Oh, woe is me, right? Well, tell me, was John ever married before? Oh, yeah, John was married to Susie before he met Anne, and we rejoice. Not for the brokenness that is this world, but we rejoice because we have discovered an impediment, right, which would cause Anne's marriage to John to be declared null. This is a declaration of nullity called prior bond because he was married first to Susie, and we presume that marriage to be valid. Does that make sense? Okay, prior bond. If a person has given consent to his spouse, he is not free to contract marriage with another person while still bound to that spouse. That's prior bond. Okay, and that's an important thing to ask. Documentary case, or set of documentary cases, the Pauline and Petrine privileges. These are a little bit more complicated and involve a little bit more research, and if you come across one of these cases, it's best to call the tribunal. You can call me and I can refer you to the tribunal, walk you through it, or to find somebody that would have a little bit more expertise in these. A Pauline or a Petrine privilege has to do with the difference that we see and understand between a sacramental marriage, that is a marriage between two baptized individuals, and then natural marriage, which is a marriage between two who are unbaptized, or one who is unbaptized and one who is baptized. So if your case would involve an unbaptized party, that is, maybe your former spouse was never baptized, maybe you were never baptized, and both of you remained unbaptized all through the lived marriage, then you may have a case type called a Pauline privilege or a Petrine privilege. If there's any unbaptism at all in your case, be sure to mention it to your case sponsor, and they can do the research to see if there's any chance that we could use that particular case type. Now, our tribunal currently is discouraging Petrine privilege petitions because they have to go to Rome and they have to be prepared in a certain way, and our tribunal is still developing resources in order to be able to facilitate and make those kind of petitions successfully. So if you fall into that category, they usually recommend proceeding right on to a formal case instead if you can. All right, so those are the documentary cases. Now they're called documentary cases because they can be proved by documentation, right? If you have all the paperwork, we send it up to the tribunal, they look it over, and then they sign, yep, sure enough, all the documents are in place. Any questions?